Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Michael the Comic Nerd. I want to talk about today about a topic that I unfortunately have a lot of experience in, and I think most, if not all of us, go through at least one point in our lives. And that is the issue of unrequited love. For those who don't know, unrequited love is basically when you have a love for someone that is simply not returned and never will be, most likely. Now this is a rather hard topic for me to really give good advice about, because quite frankly it's still a topic that I have a hard time dealing with, and I've never really found a good solution to find. If you know of a solution, please leave a comment or something that can help someone else. Meanwhile, I guess I'll just share the experiences I've had and hope that in some way might help you, or in any way just remind you that you're not alone in the pain that you feel. Now, unless you've personally been through this, it's kind of hard for me to describe how it feels. The best way I can really describe it is like having a great hope burning within you, only to be crushed again and again by a swift reminder of reality, usually something incredibly small. Think of a sheer vertical rock wall of hope, and as you're climbing it, you feel like you're almost getting to the top, then a bird craps in your face, and you fall right back down to the bottom again. And on the way back down, you'll experience a good variety of emotions: anger, shame, regret, confusion, jealousy, depression, self-pity, and many more that I can't think of off the top of my head. It just makes for a fun little cocktail, really. One of the main problems with unrequited love is that it eventually just beats you down to the core of your being, and if it stays there long enough, you'll eventually just feel that it's part of you that's just unlovable or unwantable or just wrong. And you'll be angry and spiteful of the person for your affections, even though it's not really their fault for not liking you back. And at the same time, you'll also be incredibly hopeful that somehow things will magically turn around like a cheesy Disney movie, even though your mind knows that will probably never happen. You'll also analyze everything they do, everything they say, every way they behave around you or everyone else, just hoping for a sign that things will magically change, and the sad fact is they probably never will. And I've fallen victim to this many times myself, and I still do it. In time, it's very likely just to break you completely, and you'll be sitting in a pool of your own shame, wondering, why can't I get my happy ending for a change? Why is that so much to ask? Why can't they just like me back? Why can't I be happy? Why is that so hard? Not too long ago, I developed feelings for someone I was close to, and unfortunately they were with somebody else. There's nothing I could really do about it. But that didn't stop me from analyzing everything they did, everything they said, any way they behaved, just praying to God that somehow they ended with me, even though I know that was never going to happen. And it killed me every time I was reminded of that, and how that would always be the case. This went on for a good year, and I lost count how many times I felt unworthy, or I felt wrong, or I just felt sorry for myself. And I was angry. I was angry at the universe for playing what I thought was kind of a cruel joke on me, and I was angry at myself for having these feelings for someone that just brought me nothing but pain, and yet I couldn't get myself to really let go. There were quite a few times when I found myself curled into a ball on the floor in a pitch black room in the middle of the night, just crying my eyes out, because at that point I was just so beyond desperation I didn't know what else to do. I remember one time in particular I was talking with her when I was hit by a massive anxiety attack on the whole thing, and I ended up walking back to my car, and I just sobbed like I hadn't in years for a solid 10 minutes, and I couldn't stop. I could barely breathe. I just kept crying, and it was hard, it was painful, and it became an unhealthy obsession. And I knew these things, but I just couldn't get myself to accept them. I tried talking to people I knew about this. I tried talking to people I knew about the whole situation. No one ever really knew quite what to say. They all just stared at me with these blank expressions, like they just had no idea what I was talking about or what I was going through, and they couldn't relate to me in any way. And that was difficult too, and it made me feel very much alone. And unfortunately, you get the people who patronize you a bit and just say, get over it, and that is such an annoyance, such a thing that makes me angry in a lot of ways. And if you're one of those people, those lucky people that can get over someone or something incredibly easily, then good for you. You have my deepest respects. But if you're anything like me, then you know that it is so far from easy, it's ridiculous. And to have someone just patronize you like that just brings me no end of frustration, because those are people that clearly just don't get it. And quite frankly, if they're not willing to listen and try to understand, they just shut the fuck up. I eventually came out and told this woman how I felt, and it was hard and it was painful, and I got the answer I expected. But at least I knew where I stood. And although I still can't get myself to move on completely, at least it gave me an incentive to do so. The main problem with unrequited love, at least that I've found, is that the mind usually knows the truth, but the heart just doesn't want to accept it, and will fight you every step of the way. It'll ask you questions, it'll give you all kinds of what ifs and maybes, but it will never acknowledge the fact that there's a good possibility that she or he doesn't feel that way, and never will. And that's the hardest thing to accept. And the sad fact is, the only way to kick the pain of unrequited love is to get your heart to accept the fact that it will never work out, and that is a long, hard process. You just need to convince yourself, mind, heart, and soul, is that you can't keep living like this, and it's causing too much harm to yourself and the people around you, and the people you care about who see you in this pain, and people do care about you, make no mistake. You just need to find a way to kick yourself of this addiction, and make no mistake, that is exactly what it is an addiction. Because although it brings you this incredible, unbearable pain, there is still the pure joy and bliss you get with talking to them and spending time with them. And you convince yourself that you can only be happy with this person. You set all your hopes and dreams on this one person. And you don't want to look for anyone else, because you're afraid if you do, or you find someone else, start dating someone else, that you'll forever lose your chance with this person, never acknowledging that maybe that's a good thing. If any of the things I just said apply to you, then I just want to say that I'm sorry. But I also want to say that it is possible to move on from this, and that although it hurts like hell right now, you can and will get better. I actually met up with this woman again recently, and we talked like we were old friends, and there was no awkwardness between us, and I didn't feel anything for her. And I actually realized why we never would have worked out in the first place, and I can tell you firsthand that is an incredibly liberating experience. But moving on has to be a conscious choice. You have to decide that you need to move on, that you deserve better than to put up with this useless pain, and you do deserve better. While you might not see it now, there are other people out there that are more deserving of your affection, and more importantly, want your affection. I didn't get over this woman until I met my first girlfriend, and while that relationship didn't end the way I wanted it to, or go the way I wanted it to, it still improved my confidence tenfold, because I knew that someone somewhere wanted my attention and wanted my affections and would return in kind. And that gave me courage to step forward again and start climbing out of the abyss. And while I still fall for the trap of unrequited love, I know that there is still hope for me. Maybe not with her, but with someone else, and I use that to propel me forward. But the one thing I think I've learned more than anything else, especially recently, is that it is going to be a long, hard battle to move on, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, but you can do it. You can eventually win, and you will make it to the other side. Because you are lovable. There's something about you that people will want, and it may never be with this person, and that's okay, because somebody will. Like, I have fallen for this trap time and time again, and it hurts like hell every goddamn time. But I get up again, and I will try again, because I believe that someone, based on the law of averages, will eventually say yes. Because moving on from this person is not giving up, it's readjusting your priorities. You're trying to put yourself first, rather than put yourself only with this person, and there is a power in that. There is a power in moving on. It shows you have the strength to seek what's best for yourself, rather than hope for something because you're too afraid to let it go. And I think that wraps up this episode of the MTCN Talks. I hope this helped you if you're going through this right now, or know someone is going through this right now. And if you know someone is going through this right now, I hope you'll have the patience and understanding to listen and be there for them when you need them, because they do need you. And they don't want someone just to tell them to move on. They want some fucking support. Please give it to them. I think that's going to do it for me for today, so I'll talk to you all next time.